Hey people, it is Wednesday, April the 23rd. The time is 9:02 in the evening. It's around 9 Celsius or thereabouts. I'm on Dundas Street West in the west end of Toronto, and I am coming into the Junction area with the main commercial strip running along Dundas Street. Just approaching Runnymede Road here as we head east along Dundas, or really southeast, because it does tend to curve in that direction as you walk along. It's a pretty lengthy and lively commercial strip through the heart of the Junction. It was once the main street of another town called West Toronto, which was eventually annexed by the city of Toronto. If we go back well over 100 years to when that happened, though. But you still see some remnants of the old West Toronto on some of the signage on various businesses. Trying to remember if I ever did a late night walk through here before. I guess past 9 p.m. sort of counts as late night. I don't think I ever have. I've done several other walks through the Junction in the daytime, though. It might be a bit on the quiet side, given the time I'm recording. For many years, this was a dry neighborhood. Alcohol sales were prohibited. I'm not sure for how long, but for quite a long time. But eventually, that was done away with. And I think the neighborhood really came to life after that, with new businesses, restaurants, bars, that sort of thing. Used to be a bit down on its heels in appearance decades ago, but a lot of gentrification has really changed the neighborhood for the better, I would say. Of course, now it's far more expensive to rent a storefront or to live in the area than it was back in those days. So it's a trade-off. There's a bit of a hip vibe, I guess you could say. We haven't really reached the best part of the neighborhood. That's a bit further to the east. Crossing Gilmore Avenue. I think this stretch is also known as Little Malta for a few blocks. And we have the Malta Bake Shop right across the street. dipshits are trying to have a race, I think. It's a good way to get yourself or someone else killed. It happens quite often, unfortunately, in this city. Looks like this whole row of old homes here will be demolished. A new mid-rise 8-story building. Replacing these. Remember that from quite a long time ago in a previous walk. It hasn't moved forward yet. This is one of the few extensive commercial strips of this nature in the old part of the city that doesn't have a streetcar line running along it. Or for that matter, a subway line. You have to go down to Bloor Street for the subway. And the streetcar ends at Dundas and Bloor. Dundas West subway station is. Here's Malta Park, since we're still walking through the Little Malta area. The commercial strip really picks up from this point on. Here's some history, the Maltese community of Toronto. You can always pause and read if you're interested. Your typical 2 to 3 story commercial storefronts with apartments on the upper floors. The occasional taller building here and there. I like this little parkette with some more businesses across. Reminds me a little bit of Greektown here. Very charming. There's a medical building by the looks of it, professional building. That one sort of dominates the area. I think there are a few taller residential buildings also. Not on the main street though, just off of it. Indian food bar. So these buses run very frequently. They could take you to the subway station. So most of the shops are closed now at this time, but more than enough restaurants and bars that are still open. The coal miner's daughter. Nice old school restaurant, which is closed though. It says open on the window. You wouldn't know it though, just looking at it. Dundas Pizza. Unless that open sign has just been left there for some reason. This place is still going. Clay Art Studios. Quebec Avenue. Maybe I'll cross to the other side. Seems to be that every time I do record through here, I always tend to walk on this same side of the street. Let's do that. Let's cross to the other side. Get a bit of a different perspective, maybe. Quebec Avenue. It does have the feel of a sort of small town main street. Many of Toronto's old commercial strips feel the same way. Some more than others though. Some just feel more like a neighborhood within a big city, while others sort of retain the feel of their own separate small town. It's kind of hard to put your finger on it, but it's just something you get a sense of, I guess, when you're walking through. Oftentimes it's because it was once a separate town of its own, such as here. Yeah, you can see West Toronto Baptist Church retaining the name of the old town. Smells of skunk here. Unless there's a weed store nearby that's selling some really pungent stuff, but it smells more like skunk to me. Yeah, this is definitely skunk. Here's the Junction Gabbies. Every neighborhood has a Gabbies. Snug as a bug, made in Canada. Oh, nothing in there though, I guess. Snug as a bug. Wasn't able to stay snug, I guess. Another clay art studios. That must be a really popular activity in this part of town. It's a nice place here. It's open. I think the only thing this stretch is lacking is a nice old school movie theater. A nice classic single screen theater. There is one not too far away though on Roncesvalles Avenue, the Review. I'm not sure if this stretch of Dundas ever had one. I don't recall seeing an old building that looked like it might have been a theater. I'd be surprised if there wasn't, though. And here's a new mid-rise building. Say this is like the main intersection of the junction here. Got a nice mural depicting the neighborhood name. This is at Pacific Avenue. They tore down some of the old buildings that were here to build this new residential building. Thai restaurant. Let's see if I can stay on the outside of this scaffolding. Street parking at least prevents me from walking into traffic. I wonder if at some time in the future this lane of street parking will be done away with and replaced with a bike lane. I wonder how well that would go over in this neighborhood. Drugstore. I think most people who live around here are fairly progressive for the most part. A lot of cyclists, I think, call this part of town home. Community Junction in the Junction. Got a music school. Here's a nice bookstore. Pandemonium. There used to be a popular live music venue here called the Junction Music Hall. I think it's gone now, though. I remember it being sort of in the basement of one of these storefronts. Old former bank building here. The Treasury. Now it's a medical center and pharmacy. Got Dollarama. Every neighborhood has one of those, just like every neighborhood has a Gabby's. And usually a Home Hardware as well. Although I haven't noticed one in the Junction here yet. Got a furniture store. Here's a night spot. Got some live music. Sounds like he's singing Elton John. Singing Benny and the Jets. You can hit those high notes. Elton can't hit those high notes anymore. Are they going to put some patio seating here in this lane? Is that what this is all about? Got an art supply store above ground. There's an old bank building that's still a bank. I wonder how long that's been continuously operating as such. What does that say up on top? 18 something? It's kind of hard to make out the date up there. It's old in any case. We're at Keele. Actually, I'd say this is more like the main intersection. Not Pacific. I'd say Keele and Dundas is definitely the main and busiest intersection. Going like a bat out of hell. Tall residential buildings to the north. So we're in the center of the Junction here. Here's another night spot. Happy hour, 7 to 9. I guess it's too late now for happy hour, but there's more live music. Can't quite make out what they're singing though. Oh, they're singing John Lennon, imagine. I just heard the little yoo-hoo. Woo-hoo. I was like, that is definitely imagined by John Lennon. Got some good live music here in the Junction tonight. There's a record store. Like some apartments above. Lost and Found. It's closed now. Yeah, nice door though. Some classic albums. Bike shop. A sports saloon. I think that person intentionally belched as they walked past me. They wanted to make their mark in my video. Another mid-rise here. More art supplies. Pretty big fancy looking LCBO. And we got two old school variety stores across the street from one another. We got One Stop Variety and Henry's Variety. Shout out to Henry. And I recall on Bloor Street, not too far away, there was another variety store with my name, Kenneth Variety. And there's also a Kenneth Street near here also. But Kenneth Variety is not on Kenneth Street. It should be though. And how about that? You can see the CN Tower. All those times where I walked on the other side of the street, it was not visible. But I don't know if you can make it out off in the distance. Sort of glowing. Let's see if I can get a better shot here from the street. Well, these headlights are going to make it hard to see though. And after this car passes, there we go. Well, I can see it. I think that'll show up in the video maybe. It's far away, obviously. It's a good couple of hours walk at least. Chocolate shop, got a pets shop. A bunch of people chilling in the parquet here, playing some tunes. And we got another newish mid-rise here. So the main commercial strip sort of peters out around here. Dundas Street continues, obviously, and it does pick up again through some other commercial neighborhoods along the way if you head into downtown. It's a pretty lively and interesting street for most of its length, with multiple old commercial strips. Could name off a few, such as Little Portugal, Chinatown, Little Tokyo, Islington Village to the west. But I'm going to start to wrap up the walk here as we basically leave the built-up part of the Junction neighborhood. It's the commercial strip anyway, so leave a comment down below if you enjoyed this late night walk on a Wednesday through the Junction. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And also be sure to hit that notification bell. That way you won't miss any of my videos. If you'd like to support the channel, there are links in the description where you can do so via PayPal, as well as via my merch store. Or you can also support the channel by becoming a channel member, or by sending a super thanks if you prefer. And you can find me on Instagram also under KContinuum. So thanks for watching, and thanks to all the channel members. And be sure to keep checking back because, as always, I will continue.